Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Calhoun's. Next week it'll be Rams versus Patriots for all the marbles. If you're hosting a party for that game, let Calhoun's provide the barbecue or the ribs and all the sides. Heck, they'll do the utensils, the plates, drinks. That's what they do. This week, visit calhouns.com and order a Feed 5 or Feed 10 family pack. See for yourself. They also have party platters. So if you're a party planner, get one of their party platters next week for your big, I don't know if I could say the name or not. That silliness the NFL won't let you say. If it's an advertisement, you can't say Super Bowl. But if you're watching the big game and you're having people over, Calhoun's is where to go. Let me welcome in Ryan Callahan from GoVols247.com. Thanks for being with us, Ryan. Want to talk about empty seats at Neyland Stadium. Let's take a look at the graphic here. The Knoxville News Sentinel got their hands on UT's actual attendance numbers, the actual attendance this year. And this is, literally butts in seats attendance here. This isn't just paid attendance, which is the announced number. Those numbers down once again for Tennessee, even with a new head coach. In fact, Tennessee averaged just 77,000 actual fans in the stands, about 78,000 actual fans in the stands last fall, which means there were about 25,000 empty seats on average at Neyland Stadium in 2018. I would have never, in my wildest dreams, in 1988, when they were going through the 0-6, I never would have thought you'd go through an entire season and see numbers like that. 1998, no one would have ever projected something like that. Now, on the other side of it, 11 of 14 SEC schools saw an attendance drop as well. You're seeing that across the country. More and more people are saying, I've got a big screen, I've got a couch, I can watch every single game and not just one by going to it. I'm staying at home. Ryan, Philip Fulmer says obviously they're working on trying to win more games, and that'll help to fix part of this. He also said part of it is game day experience. He mentioned, for example, he went to a Yankees game over the summer, and there was an area for people just to get logged in and do this stuff. And he said there may be millennials that don't even watch the game. They just go to do that stuff. So maybe that's something they're going to look at Neyland Stadium. My question to you is, what's the bigger issue? Improving the game day atmosphere? Winning ball games? What's your take on this?
It's winning. I think, first of all, you look at the schedule and you see what it struck me at the time that Florida wasn't a sellout, Alabama wasn't a sellout. Those games are almost always easy sellouts for Tennessee. The fact that they weren't shows you that it's about the expectations of a team. But also, like you said, 11 out of 14 SEC teams saw a drop in attendance this year. It's a trend nationwide. It's a trend in pro sports even. They've got to combat this, and I wonder how much this factors into their plans to renovate Neyland Stadium, because I think you've got to take that into consideration. Maybe being willing to go below 100,000 in capacity. I know a lot of people don't want to, though.
Philip Fulmer says that's not in the plans. 10 years ago on MrSEC.com, I wrote a thing about here's what's coming: smaller stadiums, where it's going to be everybody's going to have smaller stadiums that are going to be more expensive to get into because it's going to be just like your living room. Well, Kentucky has gotten smaller. Tennessee has gotten smaller. Florida is talking. Scott Strickland is talking about Florida getting smaller. NFL stadiums are getting a little smaller. I think you may have already lost the average fan in terms of what you're spending. They may sit at home now. You have to make it a really hyped up country club, kind of like Jerry's World down in Dallas. Your thoughts on this thing, game day experience or winning?
I think it's winning. I think that trumps game day experience. Obviously, you want to have a good game day experience, but I think if Tennessee had gone 10-2, you wouldn't see numbers like that. Yep. So there's another thing I've heard too, and I'll be curious to see if they go in this direction. I have been told there's some people at UT they have been fighting this going below 100,000 for years. Now with the renovation, they're thinking about maybe we need to go in that direction. And these numbers that you just showed would be a reason to say, might as well.
Well, it was 90-something for years and years and years before it ever went to 100. That's just a number. You're not even the biggest in the SEC anymore. To me, I would get smaller if you think that's going to make things better. I think the argument for it's winning that takes care of everything. Look at UT basketball.
Yeah.
You didn't have Thompson Bowling wasn't filled like it's been filled this year when they weren't winning like this. The problem is Tennessee ever going to get back to a point where it wins year in, year out? Can you safeguard yourself for when you do have a bad year or 10, that your stadium is still somewhat full? Is that even possible?
Well, I think winning is really a huge part of it, but I would also say winning what? Because if it's Tennessee getting back to 8-4 or 9-3, even that, I think you'll still have fans later on in the season if they've suffered a loss to Florida and Alabama saying, all right.
You saw that under Butch Jones.
Yeah, and then, right, and then the game day experience, I would also say factor that in with the scheduling of the teams that are coming in. I mean, the non-conference schedule last year, ETS, UTEP, and Charlotte. Are you kidding? So, I mean, this year your big non-conference game is BYU, which could actually be a tougher game than some are going to expect. But that's a big factor to me too. What fans are going to see Tennessee go up against?
You added an extra game to the schedule and you put in the FCS team. It's basically what everyone in the SEC did, and I don't think that helps you with your attendance.
Yeah.
Mike Strange, your thoughts on this thing?
Well, I think you got to change with the times, and the times are Rupp Arena. Kentucky basketball is winning. Rupp Arena is getting smaller. They're making that a smaller. And you look at Major League Baseball stadiums they're building now, what, 35,000, 30,000, something like that, not 55 or 60,000. So you got to go with the times.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little bit of both. Winning will take care of it, but I don't know that no place can ever guarantee, oh, well, we'll win forever, so this is good. I mean, Tennessee's the test case for that. The 90s, you would have never dreamed you'd go through what you're going through now. So if you've got to do something to prepare yourself. Basically, it's fan insurance for when you're losing. How do we keep people coming in here? And I think smaller might be the way to go.
I will say those numbers, even though they're down, that's still pretty good. There are a lot of schools in the country that would die to have that kind of attendance, but it's not what you're used to at Tennessee.
25,000 empty seats. I mean, no, you're not. All right, later. The Vols will be on the road all week. We'll preview those games for you, but coming up next, who are the top 7 recruits Jeremy Pruitt is after, and which of them will Tennessee land? We'll discuss that with our recruiting guys next. Come on back on the Sports Source.